That's right. We're on the beat, taking the preseason pulse of the Cowboys with those who know it the best, those who have been on this beat for quite some time. Joining us now is the great, the one and only, Clarence Hill from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Clarence, how long have you been on this beat?
Well, I started in 1997. 1997, you remember. That's after the Super Bowl titles, 92, 93, and 95.
So it's your fault.
No, it's not my fault. It's bigger than me. I raised champions. My daughter is a state champion gymnast.
Okay,
My
okay.
oldest daughter won the NAACP Image Award. I raised champions. It's bigger than me.
That's right. Has nothing to do with Clarence. Well, let's talk about this team. And I remember last year, head coach Mike McCarthy bristled when we could even bring up the very notion that he would be on the hot seat. But with all the responsibility he has this year, trying to implement his Texas Coast offense, how much pressure is Mike McCarthy under this season?
You know, it's funny because Mike McCarthy has won as many games the past 2 seasons as any coach in the league, actually more than any coach in the league, except Andy Reid in Kansas City. 12-5 and 12-5 the past 2 seasons. The first time the Cowboys have done this since those Super Bowl teams of the 1990s, when they won at least 12 games, 92 through 1995. But it's real. If he don't win this year, if they don't take the next step this year, there's a real good shot that he could be gone next year. Despite so much success, and you consider the success they had last year, keeping this team afloat, keeping the organization afloat when you lose your starting quarterback for the first 5 games. He should get credit for that. But the bottom line is they failed in the playoffs, and that's on his ledger. He was brought here to not be like Jason Garrett. He was brought here to be better than Jason Garrett, take them to the playoffs, take them far in the playoffs, and back to the Super Bowl glory. He hasn't done that yet.
You talked about that starting quarterback, Dak Prescott. It felt like regression last year. Only 12 games, led the league, tied for the league lead in interceptions with 15. How quickly can that turnaround happen for Dak, you think? Was that out of the norm, or is it a problem that could simmer?
Oh, I think it was an aberration as far as Dak's career is concerned, because he's not been a mistake-prone, interception-heavy quarterback throughout his career. Last year he was, but there are a lot of factors that go into that. But as you know, sometimes, those things become a life of their own, and Dak's interceptions have been the dominant storyline throughout the offseason. He takes too many chances, he puts the ball at risk and all that stuff. What's also true is he had one of the worst receiving corps in the league last year.
And the Cowboys have addressed that, and you brought me to my next question. These new veterans that the Cowboys have brought in, let's talk about Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore. How impactful can they be immediately? Because I think it needs to be that way.
I mean, they've already been impactful, off the field, from what they're doing in terms of leadership in the locker rooms. Starting with Brandon Cooks, number one, as a player, he can still run. He can still pick him up and put him down 4-3.
He says he can still go 4-3, right?
He can still go 4-3. But he's already had an impact in the locker room, certainly taking Jalen Tolbert under his wings, being a leader and giving advice to C.D. Lamb and Michael Gallup. They've all talked about the things he's helped them with. And the same is true for Stephon Gilmore on the other side of the ball, even with a guy like Trevon Diggs. Stephon Gilmore is a 5-time Pro Bowler. He's a guy who's a former NFL Defensive Player of the Year. And certainly he's the best cornerback opposite Diggs they've had. I think they two represent the best tandem the Cowboys have had at cornerback since the 1960s when it was Cornell Green and Mel Renfro. This is the best tandem. You had the Deion Sanders years, but I love Kevin Smith and those guys, but they were not Pro Bowlers. They weren't, all pro type guys. But as far as a tandem, this is the best tandem. But getting back to the leadership, what Gilmore's already done is Diggs talked about how Gilmore, he learns from Gilmore. He tells him how to eat, keep his body fresh, stay in the league, different things like that. So they're already making their impact off the field.
There are so many storylines that we will follow through the season, but let's fast forward and get down to brass tacks. How good will this Cowboys team be? Will this be that breakthrough year when they can take that next step in the postseason?
As we started off, I've came here in '97. I've never seen the Cowboys break through. All I've seen is 4 playoff wins. So I can't predict something I've never seen happen from this Cowboys team. But if they're going to do it, this is the year they're primed to do it. It's wide open to the NFC. Mike McCarthy has talked many times. The way to break through is to repeatedly get there. He talked, opening camp about we'll be knocking on the door. Well, the Cowboys have been knocking on the door. They've been in the playoffs. It should be old hat to them. I think this is a team that should get to the playoffs. They should have their best chance of breaking through. But until you've done it, you haven't done it. The Cowboys got to learn how to take those opportunities and maximize their opportunities and make the most of those opportunities when the time is now. And they haven't done that in the past. The playoff games, they left some stuff on the field. Will they take that next step? We'll find out.
Yeah, Clarence and I are both old enough to remember when the Houston Oilers and Bum Phillips was knocking on that door. They never knocked that door down,
Right.
as Bum would say. We'll see if the Cowboys can get it done. Great stuff. He is the one and only, the great Clarence Hill from the Fort Worth Star Telegram. Chill. Thanks for the time.
No problem, man. Thank you.